There was a lot of violence throughout childhood. One was suspected. Furthermore, his passing wasn't merely a luck. As cancer devastated his life in 2009, Patrick ultimately admitted the secrets that he had kept for 40 years, that there were more revelations to come. Following his death, additional more sinister facts surfaced regarding the dude who makes the films. Patrick noticed 1952, was the birth date in Texas's Houston. He was the second of 5 kids. His mother was a strong and exacting dance instructor, Jessie. His father was a composed individual who served as a draftsman in engineering, though the house was constantly bustling. Feeling, as well as rigorous standards. From at an early age, Patrick had to stay up to date with strain. The passion of his mother managed the family with excellence. His dad attempted to strike a balance, but usually Pat's strong will prevailed. The ocean resided in a middle-class area called Oak Forest. Patrick visited multiple schools and excelled at both arts and sports. His universe was packed with craziness and love. His mother's rigorous discipline molded him into methods that most people were unaware of. It wasn't simply firm love. His wife claims that Lisa and his brother Don might be violent on a physical level. On his 8th birth, she struck him in a quarrel. Jessie intervened at that point and issued a warning that if she ever did it, he would go once more. Then came the physical abuse concluded, but the psychological wounds persisted. According to Lisa, the family was confined in a painful loop that began with Patsy's own early years. Even following the hitting ceased, and the pressure was perfect, never stops. Patrick didn't talk about this in public till after in 2013, his mother died. Later, he acknowledged that the discomfort was beneficial to him. During the cruel world of show business company, Patrick was a high school student, emerging football talent. People thought he might benefit greatly from a scholarship. He was quick, powerful, and well known throughout Houston for his work under the Friday lights at night. Additionally, he received training in ice skating and gymnastics. His vitality appeared to go on forever, yet everything changed. During a game when he struck an additional participant, his leg was crooked manner. It was so severe that physicians believed it may need to be amputated. He was out for months, enduring discomfort and fear. His sporting career was ruined by the injury. Dreams and left him internally broken. He once referred to it as the person's death. He believed he had become with football gone. His sole choice was to go back to dance. He didn't much enjoy it. Heffled, ashamed. Early in the 1970s, Texas adolescent guys didn't exactly his mother's studio, but his dream of ballet turned into his rehabilitation facility. He worked for hours. Daily efforts to strengthen his body and more. He was teased by his peers. On the inside, he struggled with guilt, rage, and bitterness, but he continued. Dance aided in his physical recovery, but it provided him a new purpose. As well, later, he trained at Joffrey and the Harkness, New York has ballet schools. His knee never completely recovered, and the wound returned again and time again. Finally, it compelled him to cease dancing. But by that time, acting had come into play. If it weren't for dancing, he might not have discovered that route. Only 20 years old, after relocating to New York City, Patrick had not much money. He signed up for elite ballet schools. Want to pursue a career in performance, he resided in a dilapidated apartments and occasionally was unaware of where would he get his next meal. Older football injuries kept him out of commission. Suffering, he frequently needed to have fluids drained from his knee in order to dance on a different day. These were years of hardship, poverty, and Dan's self-doubt. He didn't give up though. To push through the pain and forward nevertheless. His first significant job came in a touring ice show for Metrofode 2 as Disney on Parade. He was cast as Prince Charming. It sounded glitzy. However, such was not the case in reality. He toured and made very little money continuously. He shared a hotel room and played in arenas in small towns. Though the costume was sparkling, life on the road was difficult. However, it was an opportunity to execute. A co-star of his, surprisingly, Michelle, was young Fifa. He was not made for the position known, but it boosted his self-esteem and, in the end, he secured the Danny Zuko's part on Broadway Grease in music. It was a significant land but a letdown as well. He was only a temporary substitute. Lengthy. John Travolta was among those who went on to enormous fame. Patrick saw it as a painful reminder that obtaining the position did not imply retaining it. However, he was not deterred by rejection. If anything, it strengthened his resolve to demonstrate that he possesses the qualities of a star. Patrick began to develop a habit of taking physical risks early on and continued without stopping. He enjoyed doing his own movie stunts. That decision caused hospitalizations and injuries, but also death threats on the set if he demanded that Roadhouse do all battle scenes himself, despite the fact that his knee was severely wounded. At Point Break, he completed more than 30 actual skydives, despite the studio's desires. At one, the producers had to intervene at this point and didn't let him jump anymore. However, Patrick disliked hearing no, that he felt alive in peril, even though it strained his body to its breaking point. When performing roles were scarce, Patrick resorted to carpentry. He and his spouse, Lisa, constructed domes in order to survive. He educated himself by reading books from the library and studying with work. It wasn't simple. Days passed, constructing floors and walls. The purpose of the nights was to learn lines or distributing cassettes for auditions. The difference driving a nail hammer and entering the carpentry was great, but the casting calls provided him with a means of surviving when Hollywood was sent phoning. Sees Patrick didn't precisely begin his career in Hollywood with a success. He made his cinematic debut in 1979, a roller disco film in Skatetown. Usath was released at the same time as the roller disco. The enthusiasm was subsiding. He performed a leather ace, a skater with a jacket, completed all his own skating. It wasn't a stunt dog twice. He did it all because of Heist's experience as a skater and dancer champion. However, the film soon got more or less of a launchpad and more of a farce. Detractors cried it, claiming that it was disorganized and inexpensive. Later, even actors like Scott Baio expressed their want to forget it. Behind the scenes, it was equally disorganized. McCormack Moran, who portrayed one of Thurl's, thereafter claiming there was an open drug utilize on set. Cocaine was easily available, and it made it difficult to film scenes. The movie did not perform well in theaters. Even fans of roller disco failed to attend ACs as a young actor. It was a catastrophe that may have ruined his career before it even started. However, only 4 years later, things were different. In 1983, he earned a part in the film directed by Coppola Francis Ford. The casting, the procedure was crazy. Numerous young and known individuals appeared, many of whom would eventually rise to fame. Rob and Tom Cruise, Ralph, Matt Dillon, Elio Estevez, and low among them were Diane Lane and Mikhail Observapid in the role of Daryl Curtis, the eldest of 3 brothers who were orphaned. What's it's unexpected that his part in Skatetown, USA, even though it's not that good, performed aided in his recognition by the producer of Coppola. That failure turned out to be beneficial. Ultimately, the auditions felt more like contests. Performers sitting in a circle with Linus Sitcher there, switching places and observing very closely. Some even engaged in physical altercations. Rob Lowe claimed that Tom Cruise was struck in the face during the film brought in $25.7 million on a budget of $10 million. More significantly, it brought in an entire generation of young performers who would win hearts of Hollywood in the 1980s. Swayze was notable for this, was the tough older brother. The movie which earned him his second. He made still another leap in 1984. Red Dawn. It was the first movie to ever be rated PG-13. The storyline was first the US is invaded by the Soviet Union, and some teenagers from Colorado noons into a force of opposition. Swayze performed. The leader was Jed Eert. It wasn't only about taking action. Quietness was necessary for his function, power, and a feeling of accountability. The film came out at the height of Cold War apprehensions and was attacked by critics referred to it as paranoid anti-patriotic. Teenagers, however, adored it. It caused about 38 billion deaths, million in the United States, and became a moment in culture. Wolverines yelled by the children in the film up everywhere, in backyards and schools. A leader can also be seen behind the camera. He was trusted by the director to maintain. He grabbed that from the younger cast's emphasis. Taking accountability seriously. Swayze also went out at Mark on TV in 1981. Prior to he appeared as a guest star on MASH as Red Dawn in And Blood Brothers as the episode. He performed. Gary Sturgis, a young soldier, arrives with a wound but discovers he has leukemia. It was an honest performance, and in motion. It's still regarded by many enthusiasts as among the most poignant moments in theories. In an odd and depressing turn, observes World thereafter engaged in his own conflict with Sorry. He passed away in 2009, at the age of 57, from carcinoma of the pancreas. The story didn't end there. It was awarded more than 57 million Americans and retained having a theatrical run even after the video was released. Finally, the movie made about $214 million globally, 64 million from Canada and the United States and 150 million abroad. A major component of that was the soundtrack. Achievement. It won and became multi-platinum, a Grammy and an Academy Award for him. Having a great time. Even Gotha's initial nomination for a Golden Globe. He went from being a working actor to an international star in under a year. It's hard to imagine Ghost without Patrick observes, but in reality, he was never the first option for the studio. Larger names such as Michael J. and Harrison Ford. Before him, Foxes were taken into consideration. Before rejected the project due to the fact that they didn't think a romance involves ACs wasn't prepared, but Ghost might work. To leave. He went to the audition with all of his possessions, and that altered everything. Later, the filmmaker commented, "He saved the part, not simply earned it." The whole movie, his existence, his dedication and his determination to cast Whoopi Goldberg transformed a dangerous concept into something that will never be forgotten. In his absence, perhaps Ghost would never have developed into what it did. What truly set Ghost apart was the relationship between Demi and C. Their connection on film was sawstring. It emerged as one of the greatest discist-specific scenes from the movie. The scene of pottery put to the song Unchained Melody become recognizable. More had previously been cast, but after seeing them, The movie acquired a unique item there. Scenes didn't seem practiced. They were uncooked and sincere. Later, Moore said that Swayze had a benevolent disposition and profound empathy that arose in every look and every utterance. They worked together to create a sort of enchantment. It is still recalled today. No one anticipated that Ghost would be a huge success. It possessed a small $22 budget. Million. However, when it was made available in July 1990, something clicked with viewers. The movie earned more than $55 million globally. It rose to the top, highest-grossing film of the year, surpassing such as Pretty Woman and Home Alone. In the United Kingdom, it was the leading 8 weeks in a row. In Australia, it at the top for 6 months. In the United States, it in 1991. It became the most rented VHS with over 646,000 copies were checked out. It's shown that either film did not require a superhero or blasts to control the box office. All it lacked was heart. For Swayze, the movie brought more than simply box office success. It garnered respect as well. He received a nomination for a Best Actor, Golden Globe. This was his first nomination. His second supporting Dirty Dancing. His performance Ghost was brimming with passion, sorrow, mystery and love. It demonstrated that he wasn't merely an action star or dancer. He could lead a narrative with nuance, the proper salvalade, what fans were already aware of. He was authentic. It made doors open and altered the perception of him in the profession. When 1991 finally arrived, Swayze sought his best. He was named by People magazine their most attractive men. It wasn't only regarding appearances. He possessed a silent power, southern charm and intense susceptibility. He was irresistible because of that. His co-star, according to Demi Moore, was kind on tough all at once. However, Swayze wasn't any about passion and romance. In 1989, Roadhouse was released, Annie Linadinto action. The film was replete with excessive altercations and riotous incidents, like as when he tears a man's snaked hands out of his throat. Detractors tested it. The action was called by Roger ERT. Ridiculous. Nevertheless, it earned $61 million globally, on a budget of $17 million. At mice didn't give a damn about reviews. They adored it. On cable, it played continuously, and VHS in the 1990s and 2000s. Dalton, the Swayze character, had an odd combination of philosophy and toughness. Hesitated concepts from his philosophy at nigh degree, while eliminating bartenders, though the film was strange, aggressive and not to be forgotten. It turned into a cult favorite, including a stage production, a follow-up, and a remake in 2024. Right when individuals believed that all sides of Swayze had been viewed, in Point Break, he displayed another one. 1991 saw its release, which was helmed by Kathryn Bigelow, who was in the movie as Bod, an adventurous surfer and bank robber. Swayze wasn't phony. He currently holds a skydiving license with 5 jumps at the conclusion of the video. That well-known there was no stuntman in the free-fall scenario. It was him. He actually yelled, "Adios, amigo," as it plunged through Theffy sky. He came close to death several times while filming, not while skydiving, but from riding waves that are unsafe. At one point, his sternum was severely injured that the team needed to change his wetsuit, but he continued. The film accumulated $83.5 million and rose to an action movie that is defining. It wasn't only thrilling, it seemed genuine because there was actual risk. Later that year, he made a very different decision in Kim Comes Next. Now, he performed a Chicago police officer from an Appalachian household, trapped between the mountain and city justice retribution. He kills his younger sibling by his other brother and the mob. Liam Neeson's character desires blood. The movie blends rural and urban violence. Custom rather than a shootout. The climax includes knives, bows and A&B's beach in the backwoods manor in the center of city. It was not a hit with critics. Siskindie voiced his displeasure with the plot, although it gained a following over time. Individuals were captivated by the poignant tale, the distinct activity, and the peculiar combination of culture of the city and the mountains. Additionally, it provided an insight into Liam's formative yearshness, who would later turn into an actor. Beneath the celebrity, Patrick observed had a life full with near misses. On Point Break said that he almost passed away 6 up to 10 times. The scenes of surfing were a vicious. He was flung beneath the sea, struck his board hard and departed with bruising. His chest had such aproving that the wetsuit required additional cushioning. Outside of the set, he was as without fear. He was an avid motorcyclist as well as horses. Both resulted in significant incidents, including potentially fatal crashes. He didn't stop though. He thought even while performing his own stunts meant putting his health at risk. Friends and producers were always concerned. However, Swayze didn't give up. He was devoted to the excitement both off and on camera. Patrick saw Lisa Niami for the first time in 1970 at his Houston's Mother's Dance studio. He was 18, she was only 14. Lisa recalled how Patrick was viewed by all at the studio as a heartthrob, someone charming and combined with peril. However, what caused it was odd that despite their bond grew slowly, and both were cautioned to avoid each other. His mom, not only was Patty Swayze the studio's creator, but a rigorous demand. Everyone sensed that the room was tense. However, over time Lisa and Patrick continued to find their way back to one another. In 1975, they were remarried. Patrick was 22. Lisa was 19 years old. The early spark and age difference increased quarries that never fully disappeared. Even now, people reflect on the past and wonder how young she was at the time everything began. Externally, their marriage appeared to be ideal. 34 years old, hand in hand on red carpets, united, grinning throughout interviews. Supporters had faith in the fairy tale. However, in private, it was not so quiet. Companions characterized the love as turbulent, yes, passionate, but also brimming with disputes and ferocious altercations. A few of them violent altercations broke out. Hotel rooms received. There was furniture smashing. Lisa, she once acknowledged having a strong temper. However, insiders claimed it went far further. They said she struck him, that he just struck walls and never struck back or tossed objects merely to let see pressure. Everyone in their vicinity kept preserving the appearance of a flawless marriage as domestic unrest simmered. Then, in 1990, there was heartbreak. The same as Patrick was getting to the pinnacle of his Lisa, who gained notoriety with Ghost. Miscarried. They had aspirations of becoming parents. That dream vanished in an instant. According to Patrick's book It's Crushing, in the parking lot, they sobbed. Keeping one another stunned. They attempted in small, but to no avail. Finally, they stopped trying to conceive. Lisa said that she had also delayed. Lengthy rather. They showered their affection into their ranch life and animals, though they never forgot loss. Later, Patrick stated one of his reasons for not becoming a father was greatest regrets that quietened their amend with them at home for the remainder of their existence. According to friends, Lisa was dependable. Rumors about affairs spent years following her, some with males, others who have women. Those who are close to them asserted that there was no secret within their common buddies, ranch workers. They all appeared to be aware. However, Patrick remained faithful. He might have been unfaithful,